Welcome to Fox Valley in Focus. I'm your host, Barb Nadeau, and we have a full studio today with guests Doug Botkin from the North Aurora Lions Club, Kelly Browning from Plano Area Chamber of Commerce, Jonathan Wool, he's the police chief in Plano, Illinois, and Officer John Curlin representing the North Aurora Police. We'll get started in just a moment.
Bye, Janet. It's nice seeing you again. You look good, girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. Help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
take care.
We will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
Our first guest today is Doug Botkin. He's representing the North Aurora Lions Club. And Doug, thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
And I first have to ask you, why Lions? How did you join? Why did you join?
I've been a Lion for about 10, 12 years, and I just had a group of friends that, very good friends of mine through other associations that, baseball and that kind of thing, kept asking me, hey, wouldn't you like to do this and help out the community? And I guess over a couple of years, I finally said yes, so here I am.
And how many people are in the club?
On our active roles, we have about 50 or so, but like a lot of groups, 35 that we see regularly.
That's a great number, 35 coming to a club meeting?
Well, yeah, sure, on a good one.
That's wonderful. When do you meet and where do you meet?
We meet the second Tuesday of every month at the North Aurora Messenger Library at 7 p.m. And then the 4th Tuesday of the month, we tend to have a dinner in town, just kind of more of a social event. We don't really conduct any business there.
Okay, so just a chance to get to know each other, find out what everybody's all about, where they work, what they do, and then talk about some of your projects.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people sometimes underestimate the value of these service organizations in their community, and I wanted to ask you about some of your major projects. I know you, about a month or so ago, you just got done with North Aurora Days, which is a big part of your year, but that's just a little bit about the projects that you do.
Yeah, that's our major fundraiser, North Aurora Days. We are a sponsor of the festival, and we also work there, and it's quite a big fundraiser for us. It's a wonderful win-win thing. We do a number of other fundraising activities throughout the year. One that's been going on here in October was we will bring a fall display to your home, a bale of hay, pumpkins, corn stalks, that kind of stuff. And we price it very competitively. It's just cheaper than you going out and getting it yourself, and yet we'll bring it to your house, we'll pick it up, and we still make money. So it's a lot of fun, too.
Now, why do you have these fundraisers? What do you do with the money that you raise?
It's a long list. Traditionally, the Lions have been involved in hearing and vision impairment. Mm-hmm. So we give a lot of money for helping people that need financial assistance with hearing aids, glasses, that type of thing, sponsoring camps for children with those disabilities. We do a lot within our community where taxpayer dollars may be unavailable or unwarranted. We recently gave a grant to the North Aurora Police and Fire Departments for some suicide prevention training, which we think will be very valuable to the community. The North Aurora Police has a wonderful color guard. We were able to help them buy uniforms. So stuff like that. And then, of course, every youth sports league has a Lions team playing, and we give a lot of money to Waubonsie College for scholarships. So as much as we can, we give back to the community. And 100% of the money we raise does have to go back by law.
Mm-hmm. And it makes you feel good because you know that the money that you're spending on whatever you're buying, fall decor or just supporting something that's going on at one of the events, and you see the Lions booth, it's coming back, and it's coming back to your community.
Yes, for sure.
You also told me before the show that you have a real sweet event that happens, and it's coming up at the beginning of the year in January, and that's your Community Awards Night. And I just want you to tell the story because I think this is really a neat thing that your club does.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. We've been doing it for a long time in North Aurora. In January, we host a dinner locally where we give out awards for the Police Officer of the Year, the Firefighter of the Year, and a North Auroran of the Year. And it's a chance for the community to come together and just remember that we have heroes walking amongst us every day.
So how do you nominate someone for any of those awards?
For North Auroran of the Year, nominations can come from the community. We advertise various methods and we receive input and filter through all that. For the policemen and the firefighters, it's internally they come up with nominations and then we help go through those and come to a consensus on who the award winner should be.
Now, what's the criteria to be North Auroran of the Year? I'm trying to imagine what kind of people have been chosen in the past.
It's pretty wide open. I mean, I'm not sure, I would say there's a set criteria. The winners tend to have a long history of varied community service and just helping out in a wide variety of ways over the years.
How long have you been doing this?
The Community Awards Dinner probably goes back 20, 30 years at least.
And then can community members come and enjoy the dinner? Is that something that you can buy a ticket to?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So again, you're giving back and then having the dinner, and then that proceed is again going to all these causes that you hold so dear. One of the things that I think is unique about the Lions is that you do see them everywhere in the community, but you also see the boxes. And I know you mentioned it a few minutes ago, but those boxes are pretty special because you'll see the guys come and they'll pick up the box and everything in it, and that has eyeglasses, it has hearing aids, cell phones. You do cell phones too. It's amazing the things that you do and all the little things that you do and how far that goodwill goes in the community.
Yeah, that's a wonderful program, and we receive a lot of those glasses, and they get turned in and refurbished and distributed around the world.
So there you have it, Doug. It's great to have you highlighting your club today. I just am so glad that you're in the community and here on our show.
Again, thank you.
And we're going to take a short break. We'll be back right after this.
Yeehaw!
Llama al 1-888-971-2013 y obtén información para cuidar mejor a quien cuidó de ti.
Kelly Browning joins us now. Kelly is the owner of Arts on Fire in Plano, Illinois, and here representing the Plano Area Chamber of Commerce. Thanks so much for coming to tell us about, well, the Plano Chamber, but also Treats on the Streets coming up.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So this is really something unique and wonderful, and I know a lot of communities have community-wide trick-or-treat things, but the story of Treats on the Streets is pretty remarkable, I think.
Yes, this will be our third annual Treats on the Streets. We started on just downtown Main Street, and last year we expanded out to include not only Main Street, but all of the businesses in Reaper Center, and then ending in the parking lot of Arts on Fire.
And that's just part of the story, though, because there's a reason you had to expand. Tell me about your numbers.
So the first year we had probably about a dozen businesses that participated, and we had probably about 400, 500 trick-or-treaters. Second year expanded to 42 businesses and about 800 trick-or-treaters.
And now, who knows what to expect.
This year, we are adding even more, so yes, we hope to grow those numbers. Goals of having about 50 businesses participating and probably more than 800 trick-or-treaters.
So are you still taking applications from businesses that want to participate in the event?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you have 3 locations, you just said. So explain to me how all these 3 locations interact.
So if they have a storefront in those areas, they can participate in front of their storefront. We also ask those businesses if they have extra room where other businesses that don't have a storefront there can fill in, and then we kind of map them out and add them. So you don't actually have to be a business on Main Street or Reaper Center. We can add you in anywhere. You don't even have to have a storefront to be a business that participates. There's other organizations that have participated with us and we fill them in on Main Street, Reaper Center, or the parking lot of Arts on Fire. The unique thing with businesses that participate in Arts on Fire's parking lot, they actually have like a little game that goes along with it for the kiddos, that then they don't get their treat until they play their little game, whether it's like throwing a pumpkin in a bucket or like throwing a spoon in a tire. So,
Something like that. So
Yes.
it's a little bit more interactive. You have a little bit more space in your parking lot.
yes.
And then when you're in the Main Street downtown area, it's basically trick-or-treating along the sidewalk?
Yes, yes,
And then over at Reaper Center, the same. But
yes.
you're allowing for booth space for a lot of other people. So you're not just getting businesses, you're getting, well, homebound businesses, people who have, like, maybe are selling something out of their home, or they're maybe an insurance agent or a realtor or something like that. And then you're also getting other people, like you said, organizations that want to participate as well. It's pretty nice. And the thing that I think is amazing is that your numbers have grown so much. So what are you telling participants to expect?
A lot of fun. Fun, safe trick-or-treating.
And how many children?
This year, probably more than 800 this year.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're going to have
Yeah.
at least 1,000 people down there if the weather cooperates.
Yeah, weather. Fun.
Why does the Plano Area Chamber promote this event? And actually, why did they create this event? How does it help the chamber?
Well, it's low-cost advertising for the businesses that participate, because if you're a chamber member, there's no fee to participate. So those 800 kids that come by, with how many families that is, that's just free advertising, and those businesses getting their name out into the community with the people that are, attending the event.
Okay, so just, promoting the entire city of Plano as well as a destination. And I think it's pretty amazing that you can get that many kids out on a Thursday afternoon, with their folks.
Yes.
So it's worth their while to do it. This is just one of the many events that the Plano Chamber is involved with. And I know you are very active with organizing events throughout the year for the chamber.
Yeah, in the spring we have our bunny hop, which is very similar to trick-or-treating, except it's eggs at the businesses. So, we've done that for 3 years now too. So,
In this climate, it's been interesting to watch what's happening with the economy and businesses coming and going, but you've got staying power and you've got some unique things going on in your business. And I know you've seen the value of chamber membership.
yes, definitely. It is a great networking tool for me. I meet so many other business people and get so many referrals and networking from them. It's been fantastic.
As far as getting involved in the chamber itself, what would you advise?
Probably what was told to me when I was starting off with my first location is that you only get out of it what you put into it. So if you are a business looking to to join the chamber and participate, you're going to get back what you put into it.
Okay, and then if they want to get more information about the Treats on the Streets, it's going to be on October 25th,
Yep.
4 to 6, but how can they sign up?
Businesses can contact the chamber office to sign up by email or through our Facebook page, which is Plano Area Chamber of Commerce. And we'll have more event advertising going out for the actual event, and it will be distributed through the schools also.
Okay, thank you, Kelly, for sharing that with us. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with Plano Police Chief Jonathan Wool.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Jonathan Wool joins us now. Jonathan is the Plano Police Chief. And Jonathan, just talking to Kelly about Treats on the Streets, it just makes me think about how much people enjoy Halloween. They enjoy the hot fall weather, but they really like having the play acting and the getting out and having fun that Halloween brings. And I want to thank you for coming just to talk about Halloween safety and our parents and their concerns. But in addition to Treats on the Streets, you were telling me that there's 2 other events in Plano coming up for Halloween.
Yeah, Barbara, it is an amazing thing of how many people enjoy Halloween and how festive it is. Our community responds well to it. All the citizens decorate their homes very well. They're responsive to trick-or-treaters and having trick-or-treat hours. We also have 2 local churches that do a trunk-or-treat event where they host an event in the parking lot, and they kind of decorate cars and different booths and have kids come up to the cars and
I knew there was one, so tell me about the 2.
Sure. St. Mary's has a trunk or treat event, and that is on October. Let me get this here on my notes. St. Mary's is Saturday, October 20th, from 12 o'clock in the afternoon till 4 in the evening.
Okay.
And then the Plano Methodist Church has one on Sunday, October 28th, from 1 to 3.
Okay, so between that whole week, we could be trick-or-treating. What a great thing. And that's in addition to the trick-or-treat hours that the city of Plano always has.
That's correct. And we have trick-or-treat suggested hours between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. And that's just to make sure that people they know when kids are going to be coming to the house and going from the house. We really want to keep people to try to stick to those hours, just so residents know when people are going to be coming around to trick or treat.
I think parents really appreciate the community-wide events like the Treats on the Streets and then the 2 trunk or treats, the 20th, then Treats on the 25th, and then trunk or treat again on the 28th, because that is in a safe environment. It's daylight hours. Trick or treat takes on a whole nother aspect when you have kids going out at dusk. And talk to me a little bit about what is, your recommendation as a police officer, as a chief of police, for safety for parents and children.
Yeah, we do really like the organized special events, and like you said, there are some things and safety tips that we do, and we'll put them on our Plano Police webpage, and we'll do a press release to the local media to say, hey, and they'll be printed out Halloween safety tips. I brought them with me here today to just go over them and review, but a lot of them are things that parents and children are aware of and common sense things. So, we always want people to be out and be polite and to travel in groups. That's the best way to handle it. And when you're trick-or-treating, try to go with an adult. If there's not an adult that can go with, at least when kids are under 12, have them with another child or sibling that's over 12 years old and can supervise what's going on. And if you do get separated, have a predetermined place to meet up, while you're trick-or-treating. When you're wearing costumes, make sure that we prefer face paint over mask, just for visibility, and make sure that your mask, if you do wear a mask, you can see. We also want you to choose a costume that's appropriate size so that it avoids trips or falls or, things that are dragging on the ground that can cause you to get snagged or knocked over. We also want you to choose a costume. If you have any type of weapon or sword or, whatever your costume is relating to, make sure that it's
nowadays.
Yeah, you want to have that it's not a realistic looking. You don't want a kid walking around with a gun that looks real. We prefer that, to not carry weapons around. But if you have them, just non-realistic weapons. We also want people to cross at the street corners, walk in the crosswalks. Don't run across the street. Always walk. We also want you to have a fun Halloween. But when it's over, we want kids to bring their candy home and have their parents inspect it and make sure, the other things, not only for safety, but for allergies and different things that kids are aware of. And parents know which kind of candy kids can and can't have. And then also the amount of candy a kid eats in a given evening. It's always good to turn that candy over to your parents. And the other thing is really want drivers. The roads are designed for cars, But on certain events, especially certain areas, drivers have to be aware and have to make sure that when they're going through school zones or going through areas where there's kids, and especially on Halloween, to be aware that, watch out for pedestrian travelers and watch out for kids and slow down a little bit. It wouldn't hurt to go just a little bit slower than the speed limit. And maybe leave a little bit earlier to get to your appointment so you have time to travel on the roads. And then, just basically, for kids to be safe, wear bright clothes, cross at the crosswalks, wear masks that you can see out of. And then parents, want you to keep watch over the kids and make sure that you know who's trick-or-treating, who they're trick-or-treating with, and where they're going to be at the end of the trick-or-treating that you're doing. Design locations.
Great tips. And you said they're going to be posted. You'll be having them posted on your Facebook and website. And I know that's a good resource as well because you have Neighborhood Watch starting up and some other events, Shop with the Cop, et cetera. And I hate to say it, but I think we're almost out of time. We still have to get Officer John Curlin up from the North Aurora Police. So I want to have you come back and tell us about some of those other events. Okay, John?
That would be awesome. But Neighborhood Watch will be starting up next Saturday at 10 o'clock out at the Lakewood South Clubhouse. It's a citywide program. Can't wait to see people out for us to interact with the community.
Sounds good. And we'll catch up with what's going on with that like midway through and find out what the response is from neighbors. And let's take a break. We're going to have Officer John Curlin up right after this.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Bye, Janet. It's nice seeing you again. You look good, girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. Maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. Help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
take care.
We will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
And rounding out our show today is Officer John Curlin from the North Aurora Police. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
We've had an interesting discussion today from, community events and fun in the community, helping your community with the Lions Club and other service organizations, to some serious safety tips on these, fall days. Now we're rounding out with a story of your crisis intervention team, and I think this is a wonderful way to end our program today. Tell us about the crisis intervention team and why it exists in North Aurora.
Sure, it's not just in North Aurora, it's a nationwide thing now. Crisis intervention is a training that they've created to help officers in dealing with people who have either a mental health or intellectual disability.
Now, tell me and remind us again, because this is more individuals than we even consider. There's a lot of people in every age range that are dealing with these issues.
Oh, absolutely. And the disabilities run the gamut. We're talking about people who are, children with autism, all the way up to elderly people with, dementia and things like that. And then people in between with schizophrenia and depression, even substance abuse issues.
And sometimes some of these young children that are dealing with learning disabilities or some type of psychological, issue, when they get to those tweener age and young adult age and then going out on their own, those are some very key parts of their life that could be really an issue for them.
Oh, exactly. And when they get to the point where they no longer have parental units, it helps that the police department knows a little bit about them. That's one of the things that we're doing at the North Aurora Police Department, is that we're actually going out, meeting individuals who are in need when they become when they come to our attention, then we go ahead and we get documentation on them if we can, so that we as the police department can share that information with other first responders.
So, John, explain to me, how do you train your officers and what are they trained to actually do in any situation?
Well, the training that we receive is through the state, and it's a 40-hour class. It teaches us how to respond to somebody who's in crisis, someone with either, again, a mental health or intellectual disability, how to talk to them, how to calm them down, how to de-escalate a situation, rather than it having it go the other direction and officers having to use force in a situation. In these instances, we can de-escalate the situation and bring it to a peaceful resolve instead.
I can imagine that for a parent or a loved one of someone who is suffering some sort of illness or condition, that it's a constant concern, but in a situation arises, it can become a crisis, and you don't want that to happen.
Oh, exactly. And that's what the officers are trained how to talk, given certain people's mental health status or intellectual disability, what things can trigger those people. And again, that's what we in the North Aurora Police Department, we're taking that extra step, and we're actually trying to be proactive and learn who these people are and what their specific issues are, what their specific triggers are, and what the specific calming methods are for that individual. That way, if we have to respond to their house in the future, we know a little bit about them and know how to help them out.
So I understand that for the North Aurora Police, you've been pretty much instrumental in seeing this crisis intervention team come to be and working with the officers. This is a special focus for you.
It has been, and I went through the training, and then after coming back from the training, I realized that the Aurora Police Department had a program, and most of what I've done has been copied from their program. They have a crisis intervention in dealing with people with mental health, with intellectual disabilities. They have what's called a SNAP program. Our department has kept it all in one category. We are a smaller village, so we've just kept it all together.
But it's nice to know that you have a statewide network and that you can reach out to others. And I know that you're also a resource for surrounding police units, which I think is wonderful. And before we run out of time today, I wanted to ask you specifically about your outreach. So you're not just responding in a crisis, but you're actually being proactive with this and going to people, and people can seek you out for guidance. Is that right?
Exactly. And what we're trying to do again is learn about as many members of the community as we can, so we know who we're dealing with and what things we can do to help them.
So tell me about meeting with maybe a family that wants to learn more. Your officers will actually talk to them in advance to
Yes.
learn about a particular individual?
Yes, members of our CRT team will go out. They'll do follow-ups. Sometimes what will happen is the ambulance will respond to a house for an individual in crisis, and then at a later date, we'll go out and do a follow-up to that, and then we'll try to, get the documentation and everything. And the documentation that we get is protected information. There's state law that states that this information cannot be released to the general public because it's based on somebody's mental or physical status.
So do you ever have people come to you and say, well, my father has dementia, or my son has autism or is bipolar? Do they come to you as well?
Yes, they do. Not as often as we would like, but that is another thing that we need to do, is get more people to seek us out. They can contact us through the village at the CIT team at CIT@northaurora.org, or through the village website at northaurora.org.
Well, then I think it's really great that you've been with us today. And I have to say, this has been such an interesting show, and I want to thank you and all our guests. And we're out of time, but we'll be back again. Just keep watching us here on Fox Valley Television. I'm Barb Nadeau.